AgTech 360 discusses breakthrough technologies that are impacting growers, businesses, and consumers. Hear from industry and academic experts about what's on the horizon.
So welcome back to AgTech 360 and our Biologicals in Action series. Biological solutions are gaining momentum in agriculture as new technologies unlock the natural power of microbes to improve crop health and sustainability. Joining me today is Isabel Vercauteren, CEO and co-founder of Aphea Bio, which is a startup based out of the AgTech hotbed in Ghent in Belgium. And Isabel is going to share how this innovation from her company is being put to work in the field. So thanks for joining me, Isabel.
You're welcome. Nice to talk to you, Adrian.
Yeah, great to talk to you again. So I'm just going to start off with a very general kind of question about your background. So could you share your journey into agricultural biotechnology and what really inspired you to move from roles at major agroscience companies like we work together in Bayer, of course, to founding Aphea Bio?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, let me go back to my youth. So my interest in plant biotech started already early. Already as a teenager, I was really fascinated by the potential of, during those days, genetic engineering in agriculture. So I'm really talking here about the 1980s and 1990s, where GMO technology was emerging, was groundbreaking innovation. And that excitement really led me to pursue a PhD in plant biotechnology. So that's where it all started. And then gradually I transitioned into industry. As you said, I joined one of the majors in the industry, Bayer Crop Science, where we also met Adrian, and I spent many years there managing third-party alliances, also scouting for external innovation. So you see that I've always been drawn towards the interface of science and strategy. And really how I got there. And in the final years of my corporate career, I was leading a department which we called New Venture Management, which meant sourcing and analyzing deal flow for potential investments. And then at a certain point in time, it was in 2016, the VIB, which is the Flanders Institute for Biotechnology, they approached me to building a company around innovation. And that is how Aphea Bio was founded.
Before we get into the company too much and the different products that you're developing, could we just do something pretty basic, which could you explain for our audience, which is a very mixed bag of scientists, but also non-scientists, exactly what is biocontrol, what are biostimulants, and why might a grower, for instance, consider these options over other plant health products that are currently available in the market?
Well, to really put it very simply and to really give the short answer to your question, this is how it would look like. So biocontrols and biostimulants are sustainable alternatives for traditional products that are on the market, such as chemical crop protection and synthetic fertilizer products. So they are based on natural substances. And in our case, in the case of Aphea Bio, they are based on microorganisms. And microorganisms is really a broad term for things like bacteria and fungi, but also yeast strains. So that's in a nutshell really what's it's all about. And then if you zoom a little bit deeper, a biocontrol product is a product that can protect your crop. So it can control pests, it can control diseases or weeds, while biostimulants are more substances or microorganisms that can enhance plant growth and resilience without directly targeting pests or diseases. So they are both sustainable alternatives, but the one is rather, let's say, a replacement of crop protection products. These are the biocontrols, while biostimulants are products that can, for example, replace or complement synthetic fertilizer.
So a couple of years ago, I had the privilege of visiting you in Ghent and seeing a little bit about what you were doing from a greenhouse laboratory perspective, and you clearly have a very impressive R&D platform to discover these different microbes with different properties. Can you explain a little bit about how that works, at least what you can share, so that we can understand how you go about actually discovering these microbes with different traits and properties?
Indeed, we have developed an R&D platform. We brand it under the name Aphea Bio, and it's really a proprietary R&D engine, which is designed to accelerate the discovery and the development of both biocontrol and biostimulant products. So you have to imagine that this Aphea Bio platform integrates several unique and advanced technologies that, first of all, try to identify the ideal microbial candidates for those type of products, because there are millions, trillions of microorganisms around us. So the trick is really, how do you identify the best microbial candidate for product development? And so for us, we start with microbiome mapping and bioinformatics. So we do a lot of genomic and metagenomic analysis to explore what we call the untapped microbial space. So basically, we want to go somewhere, or we want to tap into a microbial space that has been untapped so far, and that is enabling us to identify novel and non-standard microorganisms with beneficial traits. So we are really talking about not fishing for the what we call the usual suspects, but it's really about this novelty of microorganisms that nobody has been touching. So we do a lot of data mining, and that is helping us to predict which microbial leads could work effectively. So basically, if we have defined that, we have also a very neat technology to do microbial culturing. First, you need to identify who the microbes are, but then, of course, you also need to be able to culture them, because if you don't have a culture, there is no product. So we do have a high throughput culturing technique that is made for being able to grow those rare uncultured strains. And then we go to high throughput implanta validation. As you mentioned already, Adrian, we have a very big greenhouse here. We have automated plant phenotyping that can help us to test and validate microbial effects directly on the crop. I think that's very important. We don't use model organisms, we test directly on the crop of interest. And then, of course, after your implanta validation, you go to extensive field trials. I think people will know what I mean here. So you have to validate a lot of your microbial candidates under real world conditions across multiple regions in the world and across multiple crops. So greenhouse is one thing, but it's a prediction of what it could look like in the real world. And this is what we are doing in field trials. And by doing so, we have been able to screen more than 100,000 microbial strains and identify those that have a real agronomic impact. And this is, I think, helping us to be faster at the market, and we are able to come with more reliable products than others.
The North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative impacts lives through innovative applications and discoveries. By leveraging cutting-edge research and technology, we address global challenges related to agriculture, sustainability, and human health.
So, Isabel, you mentioned the regulatory process, and I'm interested to get your perspectives on this. I know I think the general perspective will always be it takes too long and it's too expensive, but how do you see, maybe in the short but also medium and longer term, the biological regulatory process? Do you think it's something that needs to be changed? Do you think it's working better in certain parts of the world than others?
It's definitely a challenge, and I think it's for all of us that want to bring innovation to the market, a challenge. I have always a feeling that innovation is quicker than the regulatory framework, and but okay, we need to pass through this phase, and it's definitely a challenge for all of us. Now, Working with novel microorganisms, as I mentioned already, this was one of the goals of Aphea when we started. We wanted to do something different than the others. So novelty brings, of course, some questions at the regulators, and often this could lead to a regulatory pathway that is longer or more complex than for a traditional microorganisms such as bacillus strains or pseudomonas strains. So for us, each strain is unique, and it requires extensive characterization, safety assessment, field validation, and so forth. So having said that, we believe there is a need for, of course, a rigorous safety and efficacy standard. So we believe there needs to be a process, but the process definitely could be improved by creating clearer and more harmonized guidelines for microbial products.
Isabel, last question. I'd like to ask the kind of crystal ball question. So looking forward, over the next decade, I mean, how do you see products such as the ones you're developing fitting in with current agricultural practices? Do you see a replacement strategy of maybe more traditional chemical-based biocontrols or stimulants, or do you see more of an integration? How are you seeing things moving forward?
Personally, I see that biological products will really become a central pillar of integrated crop management systems over the next decade. So I don't think that we are immediately looking to wipe out and replace all the existing chemistry that is there. I think it's really about integrating and looking for the best combination in a given circumstance. So for sure, our vision at Aphea, but it's also my personal belief, is that biostimulants, biocontrols, bioherbicides, they really can work in synergy with conventional inputs, but also it's not only the conventional inputs, it's also precision agriculture. There is a lot of innovation coming from that angle, and there is a lot of innovation coming from digital platforms. So I think we don't have to be naive, and we have to see that everything can work in synergy. There is no one fits all solution, definitely not. But if we integrate all those solutions and we can combine the best solution in a given circumstance, I think it can bring us really, really far. And one of the major things is that going forward, we really have to take care about our soil health, because using chemistry and a lot of big machinery over the last, let's say, 60 years or more, we have really damaged our soil health. And if you want to still continue to do farming in 50 or 100 years from now, which I believe we should, we have to be really careful with our soil health. And then biological products are definitely very suited for that. They are also very flexible products. So again, they can be tailored towards specific crops, regions, and farming systems. So it's not a one-fits-all solution, but is definitely a central pillar in integrated crop management.
Isabel, thank you for that really comprehensive overview of the promise of biologicals and particularly what you're doing at